and I'm going to count down from 10 for a little quiet time. Hey, Laura.
Hey, Midori.
And hey, all the people out there. Oh, fancy.
It's like a $1 Chinatown fan.
Oh, perfect, 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 perfect.
So, where are you?
Okay, so different background, right? Okay, I am in the middle of the woods in Colorado, staying at my chosen sister's place.
Oh, I think I know who you mean.
Yeah, in my strange, complicated, and not entirely restful road trip that I am on. And it would be all just lovely if it were not for, well, COVID or the fires back home.
I was going to say the pandemic and the epic fires that are burning in your home state.
Yeah, because we just needed one more thing for 2020.
Yeah, actually, I saw a photograph that I almost made the top of my Facebook page because it was a sign for a senior center that said masks on, social distance, stay healthy, surrounded by fire. And I was going to make that the top of my Facebook page and say, well, there you go, 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and find that picture, and I'm going to find out who took it so I could give them credit.
Yeah, that just says everything. Yeah. Only thing missing is register to vote here.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, look, I even put on eyeliner for this.
Whoa. I put on a clean shirt.
I've been strictly sunscreen. So
I have been, following the Democratic National Convention, and because there has been a serious lack of funny costumes.
Right, that is the thing that's been missing.
Right, because one of the joys is seeing the wacky people on the floor of the convention and the stuff that they wear. So I was very,
It is insanely wacky. Oh, keep talking to our subscribers. I need to get the power cord because apparently in some realm of my life I can have power on the laptop.
Go get the cord. One of the things Karen and I both really liked, though, in our socially distant non-convention was the roll call. I loved seeing people and the way that they chose to represent their state, aside from a few hats and costumes. The Rhode Island calamari will live on forever. All right, who knew that Rhode Island even had an official appetizer?
And who was that, like, Daddy Dom chef?
Yeah, he was all right. But yeah, I liked seeing everyone in their home state or in some place where they felt this is what represents us as they chimed in. I actually thought it was really nice.
What did California do? Commit evolution, self-evolution?
No, they were at the beach.
Oh, okay.
All of California is a beach.
Yeah. I don't know. I think at that point it's like, hi, we're California. Fire. Poof.
Right? Like that old Monty Python routine, Stanley is not well disguised. Oh, not to be found.
Oh my God. Or I could just see like this.
That was why I had an ass's head behind me.
The Stanford Redwood Tree mascot, like, holding California and somebody setting it on fire. Oh my God. I'm losing my mind. Hey, so
we all are.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
When we were talking about getting back together and talking about things. I had a whole bunch of, trivial topics that we had on our wish list of things. And then I realized that today is the start of the Hebrew month of Elul, which means the high holidays are right around the corner.
And for the viewers, we are recording this on Friday, August 21st,
Yes.
2020.
And Elul
How do you spell
is the preparatory time.
How do you spell that?
Elul. I couldn't find one L, and so it's an upside down 7. But it's Elul. And usually that is a signal that you have to start working on getting ready for Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, which people call the Day of Atonement in English. And a lot of people who are not Jewish, and a few who are, think that on the Day of Atonement, you go to synagogue and you dress in white and you fast all day, you don't even drink anything. And at the end of the day, you've made atonement for all your sins and God forgives you. That is absolutely 100% wrong.
So
Absolutely.
It's not like going to confessional, doing a confession,
Nope.
however many Hail Marys, and then you go to the golf course.
Nope. In fact, the only thing that comes close to confessional about it is that every single person that day who is saying the prayers is saying it as a collective. Every prayer is, we have transgressed, we have sinned, we have murdered, and we have lied, and we have stolen, and we have not recycled, and we have been rude to our guests. And everything is a collective we, because God cannot forgive you for the things you do to other people. And so the only thing you talk about that day is the communal sins and the sins against God. And if you have not cleared up your slate of getting forgiveness or making atonement for what you did to other people during the previous year, you are fucked.
And how?
Except, of course.
Mm-hmm. And how do you clean the slate?
Well, in America, we have this interesting culture of the non-apology. Right? And I know it drives you crazy every time you hear one. I'm sorry if you were offended by what I said. If anyone was harmed by this thing that I did, I'm sorry. Okay, those are not apologies. Because people have free will, right? Every day we make decisions about whether or not we're going to be a dick to someone, or we're going to do something that's shitty, or something that's thoughtless, something that we know is not a good thing to do, even if it's as minor as not, putting the right recycling in the right bin that day, right? We make that decision all the time. Now, if I hurt you, God is not involved. Only you and I are involved. Mm-hmm. And so the first of Elul starts in me every single year a personal accounting. How many ways have I been a dick this year? And it's a lot.
How long does this period last?
Well, it's about a month from now till Yom Kippur. The Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, is 10 days before Yom Kippur. Mm-hmm. So the ideal state of being is that from now until Rosh Hashanah, you try to do your best to remember what you've done and who you might have hurt and correct things.
So this year, what's the date? We've got August 21st through.
I may have to look that up in another window. But first I need to do something.
Yes.
Midori, I have really been a dick to you. It's embarrassing to me how often you have had to remind me that I owe you something, that I was supposed to write the description of that week's Kvetch, that we were supposed to spend time working out ideas. And it seemed that I just slid in at the last moment and plunked one on you. And that is not fair, and it's not respectful of your time and the professional effort you put in everything you do. And I'm going to tell you that I am going to make a greater effort to be more courteous and considerate of your needs and respectful of your time, because you are truly a good friend. And I don't want to lose that.
You're totally making me cry. Oh my God.
All I hope is that you can find it in your very already generous heart to think kindly of me.
Absolutely forgiven, absolutely accepted. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it has, and I appreciate that, and it has not been a jerky thing at all for me. I figure we're both busy, and I'm happy to go, okay, can I get this thing? Yeah. And from my side, I have often felt badly that in the times that I've been able to go to New York, that I would get so involved in all the things that I didn't prioritize or make time to go out and see you. And Lord knows, I love hanging with you and Karen and in Queens, all of that. And it was unkind of me to not prioritize a friendship. And sometimes it was just easier to prioritize that which was either physically closer, seemingly. And now that I can't get to you, it's like, oh my God. I and to take the train out there, to say, okay, you know what, this little work thing can wait a little bit. So when we are allowed to be together again, even if it's, even if I can travel and even if it's just like socially distance,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to prioritize and forgive me for not coming out more often to you.
I absolutely understand. You are a very busy professional. You have amazing gigs in New York, and 99.9% of them are in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that living in Queens, you have to carry your passport with you to get here. But I always know that you think highly of us, that you miss us, and that you treasure the time that we have. So absolutely, anytime, I am always happy to see you, or even just to exchange, I can't believe we were in the same place and only saw each other for 5 minutes messages in text.
God, I can't wait to be in a situation where we can actually be in the same place and going.
Yeah. Are you kidding? When we reach a point where I can actually touch other people, me, the notorious, all right, I'll hug you, I'm going to be at them like fucking missiles. I'm going to soar across the room and hit you like a tackle.
I want to be one of those people, and I also want to be near an occasion with the camera as you I don't know, tackle Brian of Thunder in the Mountain.
Ooh, he's eminently tackleable. Oh, you know who would enjoy being tackled? Delano.
Oh, yeah.
Delano. Yeah. Delano. And if not, I can always apologize later. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that was an example of what I go through every year, what I try to go through. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me when we were talking earlier today that it not only informs my ethics, but it helps me realize how important it is to really own yourself. And it took years and years of practice doing it before I was able to do it without feeling extremely self-conscious or like, am I just performing an apology? And the aspect of practicing something until it becomes a value is another thing that I know that you really treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to me as a kinky person.
And how does this relate to your?
Well, American non-apology, right? Turns an apology around to make it the responsibility of the person who's offended. And I see that often in the kink scene. It's like, I'm so sorry you didn't like the thing I did is not an apology. It is a statement. I regret that you are involved in this, as opposed to, I regret my actions.
It does smack of, I want to dissect that statement, right? Whether from politicians or whether from friends or whether in the kink subculture, what appears to be a performative apology, right? That just lands wrong, because it's still to me, one, it sounds like a grudging 5-year-old going,
Yes.
sorry, I broke your window. Mom said to say I'm sorry. It sounds like that, but then there's something more nefarious in it that is accusing the other of not being resilient, not being tolerant, not being something enough, not being understanding enough. It smacks of, can't you take a joke? What is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so when I teach classes about communication in kink, the breakdown that I give people on a proper apology and how to address it is straight from the Talmud. And a lot of people think that I developed this out of, this kink mind, but it's so simple. Number one, understand what you've done. All right. Number two, state it to the person you have harmed. Number three, apologize or offer to make amends. Number four, don't do it again.
Mm-hmm. Would you be able to, in the show notes,
Put that in there?
put that, as well as some good link to a Talmudic some?
Okay. Yeah, I'll find something.
Fantastic. I'll see what I can find in Zen and Buddhist scriptures as well.
How does Zen address harms between people?
You know what? I can't pull that out of my head right now.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just not coming to me right now.
I think it's very interesting also in the contrast between Christian views of sin and atonement and forgiveness and Jewish, is that for Christians, sin is something humans are born with, right? The whole concept of original sin, Adam and Eve in the garden, and so we're all cursed. Jews, no.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's nonsense. Adam and Eve, an allegorical story. So to Jews, the first collective sin of humanity is making the golden calf. It is literally creating a valuable thing that people worship.
Mm-hmm.
And why? It's because they all chipped in to make it. And, doing the boogie, having a good old time, like in the scene in the Ten Commandments when the Jews are getting frisky.
Oh, sorry,
That
like
first one.
pitching in money to build a wall.
Like bedecking your home in gold and marble,
Yeah.
confusing quality with cost,
Mm-hmm.
value with price.
Mm-hmm.
In Judaism, a sin is, it's an inclination. It's missing the target. The same word is what an archer would use to say, I missed. Which means that every time you sin, you have the option, you have the capability to do better next time with practice, focus,
Mm-hmm.
with intention. And so it's not a condemnation. It doesn't say you are bad because you're a sinner. It says you missed. Try better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which I think of as much more healthy.
Coming from also a little more of a Buddhist thinking around attachments,
Mm,
that life is suffering, and then there's also like the Japanese social harmony perspective.
right?
Right? So I think that which is, so this is conflating Japanese Zen with, of course, conflating Japanese Zen with Japanese social mores and
Mhm.
the moral compass of Japan, is causing undue discomfort in others,
Mm.
is is uh, is not doing good.
That's funny because I remember one phrase that came out of a reading I did once where a rabbi said, whoever aggravates their companions through words. And that was how it was translated. You know, not angers or insults or demeans, whoever aggregates them
Yeah.
is required to placate them. So go to them, ask their forgiveness, and you can only ask for their forgiveness up to 3 times. After that, you're considered a nudge and you should shut up and go away. And again, unlike Christianity, the person who has received an apology is under no moral requirement to accept it and or forgive.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you cannot forgive a harm done to another person.
But I suppose being aggrieved, you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the kink overlap, where it happens for you.
I think that the most important thing that I teach when I teach about the stages of apology and forgiveness is that everyone involved has to be an active participant. It's not something that you can do quickly. And some Jews will in fact shrug off this annual duty to literally like run across their friends and say, oh, Midori, forgive me, all right? I must have been a dick sometime this year, all right? I forgive you too. And they'll like move on like that. And the rabbis are like, don't do that. It's meaningless. The only way you could do this is by communicating. And so when I tell people that there are these stages, what I'm teaching them is the structure, the ritual, you might say, the protocol that can produce a deep change in the relationship. And a lot of people think that only the bottom apologizes, which is 100% fucking wrong. What is wrong with you? Like, what is literally wrong with you?
Okay, let me be devil's advocate here, because that popped into my head as well right before you said it, is, oh, but in a DS relationship, let's talk about DS relationship as opposed to like, people who are egalitarian and playing with power shifting.
Right.
In a hierarchical relationship, if I am the lead and the authority in the relationship, why should I apologize?
because every human being is responsible for their actions. And if you are taking the lead in a relationship, you are owning 100% responsibility for your actions that have consequence, potentially serious emotional consequence, in another human being who has given you their trust. And so, in fact, I think it's more important for the top, the dominant, you know, the mistress, the owner, to be aware of their missing the mark and be able to step up fast and demonstrate the responsibility and strength that inspires such devotion from someone else.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and play master asshole again. Okay.
Hey, Master Wolfdick, long time no see.
Yep. And, oh, but my slave exists for my pleasure, and my character is just fine. And if I hurt their feelings, that they should step up and learn to deal with it and suck it up, buttercup.
See, at that point, I would call that idolatry. I would call that someone who has mistaken themselves for a god. And I'm pretty sure that's in the DSM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, and I think you and I have both seen plenty of people who engage in the language of BDSM to justify, perpetuate, non-apologize, non-own up, and perpetuate really destructive behavior. And yet, when pointed to details, they can say, "Oh, well, this has been consensual. We negotiated. I'm so sorry that they're hurt." And
yes, right, that they're hurt by something that happened without my agency in it at all.
So sorry that they're hurt with what happened, but
oh wow, more passive language.
But we did they did consent to this, and they weren't prepared.
Well, when you're wrong, you're wrong.
This happens, and I think in the kink subculture, we pat ourselves on the back a little too much that we have a couple extra words of communication skills. So somehow,
Yes, all that open and honest communication we're having all the time.
Yeah.
That's why all our relationships are so long lasting and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, incumbent on communicating in a kink relationship and in any relationship in which power gets passed back and forth between people, power, authority, responsibility, right? Which happens in any partnership, consciously or non. This model of owning your own missed marks, of owning the times and you didn't hit the target, also should make it easier for when someone comes to you and says, this thing, I heard you say this yesterday, and I feel hurt by it. And so if a top can't hear that and understand that the bottom is giving them a precious gift, the ability to quickly and decisively get rid of something that may weigh on them for whoever knows how long.
Mm-hmm. And fester.
Right? Now, it's kind of hard to see a complaint as a gift. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the name of a book about customer service, but I might be wrong. But in effect, a complaint or an explanation about what has, harmed someone or inconvenienced them or an issue they're having is an opportunity for someone else to step up and be a good person.
So when does this period go from and until August 21st this year until when?
Right. Rosh Hashanah starts the 19th of September. So ideally, I should have spoken to at least a few more people I've been addicted to this year before then, because on Rosh Hashanah, that's when things start weighing into the divine and magical and away from the person to person. Now, I have received apologies literally on the day of Yom Kippur, when you're not supposed to be focused on human to human stuff, right? They are so powerful that day. Because imagine you wake up in the morning, you have not eaten or drunk anything since the previous night at sunset. You get up, you put on all white clothing, like you're in a shroud, like you're going to a funeral. And you go and you stand all day, standing and praying, you beat your breast. It's a very emotional and fraught day. If you have the courage to go to someone on that day, when the entire community is there, and you could speak to them and say, this is what I did, and I am so sorry. It's a remarkable, remarkable moment. And it's happened to me twice, and both times it happened to be someone who I did in fact have a grudge against, and both times it was instantly wiped clean. To the point that I was happy to see them the next time I did.
Oh. That
is the power that we can put in our human-to-human relationships. If we can show each other how valuable we are and respect our feelings and own our actions, it improves everything. Interpersonal communications and kink.
So question, as somebody who is secular and secular, non-theistically, humanistically spiritual, not Jewish, though obviously fascinated with Judaism, can I ride the coattail and use this time frame for the same function?
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way that I advise people use the 8 days of Passover to talk about their service contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, symbolically free them at Passover, because this is the time of year where we celebrate, the Hebrew exodus from Egypt as they're leaving slavery, and take those 8 days to talk about the past year and what you'd like for the future, and set it all aside and bond together as friends, as lovers, as peers. And then at the end, get the collars and the rings and the whatever back, with having spent just a little bit over a week re-examining the joys and the challenges so that you feel refreshed. And it's the beginning of spring usually too, so it's a good season. Now it's going to be entering fall for this Jewish New Year leading into Yom Kippur. And so again, it's a good seasonal time to kind of examine what fell off of you this year, what you haven't cleaned up, what is bare in your soul.
So this will be something that the viewers, our dear patrons, should they choose to, can also, it's nice having a achievable time limit. It's not like I have to do all this by next Tuesday.
Right, or the, once a year on this date, we do this. I'm like, you need time.
Yeah.
Give it time. And develop it and practice it until it feels better.
Yeah.
Until it feels more natural.
I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah. And how it connects with the ethics of leadership and followership, and the ethics of pleasure activism, ethics of being with other humans, whether kink or sex or politics or breaking bread, and if we could see that across the aisle and in a certain place in DC.
Mm,
Mm.
mm. Well, I have hopes.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes they're slim hopes. It's been a particularly bad couple of weeks.
For a lot of people, you,
And
me.
so Elul kind of snuck up on me.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually surprised when I looked at the date and I said, oh, is it that time again? Sometimes I think the hardest thing for a person who examines themselves frequently is to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's so much easier for some people to forgive others, whether it's in a positive way, you know, with your whole heart because you love them, blah, 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 or whether it's kind of an enabling way because it gets you out of dealing with it. But I know so many people who can't forgive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also tell them the lesson of sin in Judaism. It's missing. And you cannot be held responsible for missing, even if you do it over and over again, as long as you're trying to do better.
And I suppose even the best archers miss.
Sometimes I am not the best archer, but I do try. I try.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important to do what I did with you at the start of this recording.
That meant so much to me.
It's been a tough year.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, I had a tiny topic that I want to tag on to here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, and remind me, how do I pronounce this period again? Elul?
Elul. E-L-U-L. Elul.
Elul.
The
Sounds
month of Elul.
rolls off the tongue really well.
Yeah,
So,
there are some really fascinating words. You know, teshuva is returning. That's a word also used for repentance. So teshuva is returning to a state.
okay.
You know, I make teshuva. I will return to this ill and make it better. I will return to this time and restore our friendship. And the word I really like is slicha, which is beg. It's to express sorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, you had a little topic.
Like, sounds good to me. It just
Mm,
sounds good.
mm,
So, speaking of words
mhm.
and the time that we live in, how we greet one another. I am. I have been stepping further and further away from the casual greeting, American greeting of "How are you?"
Oh God.
Because I have kind of a sense of it. So I've been, and so I would love to talk about how do we make that greeting word that actually really means the "How are you?" or "I see you." I've been shifting to, instead of saying "How are you," which we're in this like habit of just saying "Oh, fine."
Right? Nothing is fine.
Nothing is fine. There's nothing is fine. So I've been shifting to how are you coping?
Mm.
So
Except I'm not.
mm,
You know, or like, you know, oh, in unhealthy ways. I baked and ate cookies this week. I've been really trying not to do that. I have a COVID-19 all over my ass right now. But yeah, so yeah, you know, I was thinking I'm going to start using shalom,
mhm. And
which is here for peace, and it's the all-purpose greeting. Hello, shalom. Bye, shalom.
it's a Hawaiian
It's kind of
aloha.
like aloha.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna go around like a Jewish hippie. Peace.
So what else could we say when greeting other humans, whether friends or people unknown to us?
I don't know. We could always shift to the Brooklyn Queens yo.
Mhm.
which backwards is oi. So there's the whole conversation right there.
Yo, oi, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a joke. Two old Jews are sitting on the bench in a park. One says, oi. And the other one says, ugh, oy vey. And the first one says, as he pats his friend on the knee, it's good we could talk our hearts out like this.
Oh my God. Yeah. What else might be good? Let's see. So we have aloha, shalom. We have oi, yo, oi. There might be just for the people known to us, there's the simple, good to see you.
Right.
I feel like asking how are you is become way too fraught.
Yep. Because you can't say fine.
You can't say fine. And there are times when I don't necessarily want to push the button of even saying the colloquial how are you and having a person go, because I've certainly felt that when I've had people just go, hey, how are you? And I'm like, and my response has been, well, it's a pandemic.
Right. Right. Which reminds me of many years ago when I worked for the BWA Coalition. How are you was problematic back then too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you fell out of using it, or you would say specifically, how are you today?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my bosses used to turn around, and depending on who had asked and how they had asked, he would either say, I have AIDS, or he would shrug and say, I have AIDS today. I really, I have AIDS, what do you think?
Oh my God, yeah.
Still alive, by the way.
Yay. Yeah, I've just been like, it's a pandemic life.
Mm-hmm. And I'm living in Plague Town,
Mm-hmm.
where I think Andrew Cuomo is an inch away from being out on the streets of Manhattan, grabbing people who are wearing masks badly and shaking them by the lapels, saying, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we're hanging in.
Yep. Yep. We're all coping.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think I need to find that. Remember that poster of the kitten off the tree?
Uh-huh. Hang in there, baby.
Okay, take that, put a mask on the kitten, and flaming trees underneath it.
2020. How you doing? This.
And with like face of Trump with horns in the fire.
Okay, red, safe word. I'm throwing a fan up.
I'm dying to.
A fan is thrown. We're done.
Oh my God. Okay, I need to find your graphic illustration friend and like have that design. Oh my God, maybe I'll put out a challenge on my social media saying, can somebody please design this?
Oh my God, yes. Especially badly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a bad Photoshop of that would be hysterical.
In that motivational poster kind of way.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm so going to do that after we log off because, hey, it's another awesome way to avoid the things I suppose I could be doing and having a giggle. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for making the time for this.
Thank you, Midori. I'm so glad you were able to get away, even though I know traveling was a burden.
Yeah. Good to connect with you. And oh my God, the other day at office hours, all these patron and supporters showed up, and it was so nice. I'm usually doing office hours for, office hours, education, and that was just like,
Right.
oh my God, this is so for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice.
So A Plague of Players is doing Duchess of Malfi, one of the most violent, horrible plays I've ever read in my entire life, September 13th. I
Oh,
know you will be there.
I will totally be there. Can other people be there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to post about it on Facebook.
Great.
This is the first show that I'm going to be doing a trigger warning on, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Buckets of blood. It's wow. And I'm going to play an evil cardinal.
Hey, perfect.
Yeah, I can't wait. I got a really big red yarmulke. That's close enough, right?
Yeah.
That's cardinal-esque. After that, I'm going to dress like Father Guido Sarducci, one of those.
Tony Baloney.
Tony Baloney, yes. I love you.
Love you much. And to all you viewers out there,
We love you too.
thank you.
Sorry about all the dick I've been.
And I look forward to next year.